AITAH, for telling my wife it's fault our sons don't like her. My wife and I have twin boys that are 12. My sons have always liked me more than her, and it is because she is overly aggressive and dismissive of them. It is an issue I have brought up with her countless times over the years. She says she isn't, but she obviously is, and even other members of our family have commented on it. If the boys play too loudly, she freaks out. If the boys are in the middle of a TV show and she decides she wants the TV, they have to get up immediately. She scolds them over the smallest things like not having spotless bedrooms, forgetting to put the toilet seat down, wrestling even when it's outdoors, not closing the bread and tightly enough for her liking. She is always looking for a reason to yell at them. The thing is, they aren't even bad kids. In fact, they are very well behaved, both get great grades and participate in extracurricular activities. They do not deserve the treatment my wife gives them. Ever since I started working from home after COVID, I have always had to protect them from her and overcompensate for just how aggressive she is with them. This has caused them to gravitate towards me and basically steer clear of her whenever they can. She started taking the afternoon shifts at the hospital a few months ago, and the boys have been so much happier with her not around. It honestly makes me sad how negatively she impacts them. Well, on Friday, her and I picked up the boys from school, and they told us about a class field trip they're going on towards the end of April. The school wants all the kids to bring a parent, and the boys were insistent that I go with them. When my wife offered, they got visibly upset and said they'd rather have me. I told the boys not to be rude, and we will have to check our schedules. When we got back to the house, my wife started talking to me in a very bitter tone about how I'm the favorite and the boys hate her. I told her this was because she treats them poorly, as I've told her dozens of times before, and that if she wants them to care about her, she needs to be better. She got really upset at this, obviously, but she needed to hear it. She went to the bedroom and locked the door. I just let her be and ended up playing video games with the boys. About an hour later, she came out and said, "Of course you're all just sitting around instead of checking in on Mom. We didn't say anything," and she ended up leaving the house. She does this sometimes, as she does have some mental health issues that she is medicated for, so we've learned the best strategy is to ignore her when she gets like this. When she came back home, she didn't eat the dinner I made and slept on the couch. All weekend she kept to herself, and this morning, she told me that what I said to her was completely wrong and I needed to apologize. I did, but told her the sentiment was truthful, and it's something she really needs to work on. She says she doesn't, and she parents the kids just fine. I told her just because you don't hit the kids doesn't mean you treat them well, and she once again got really upset and is once again ignoring me. I feel like she needs to hear this over and over until it gets through to her, and this has been going on for so long. I feel I need to be more blunt with her behavior. Am I wrong for telling her how I see it in this manner? First comment: why do you allow this? I know it's a big joke on Reddit to go straight to divorce, but man, I just don't think I could stay with someone who treats our children so poorly. You say further down that she has some mental health issues that she is medicated for. Does she have a therapist, or is she regularly meeting with a mental health professional that addresses family relationships in regards to her mental health? Those boys will bolt as soon as they are old enough to, and will likely cut her off. You can tell her over and over, but it seems like she needs some additional class therapy, something that addresses how she treats her children. I sure wouldn't check on her if I was 12 whose mom yells at me at every opportunity. Also, your sons see this dynamic and think it's how relationships work. They may even mimic this dynamic in their own relationships, marriages. NTA. Second comment: as someone with diagnosed BPD, medication isn't even 1/3 of the solution. If she has a PD, she needs intensive therapy in DBT, MBT, MBTO. And there's like a billion other types of treatment we need. And it will literally not help if the one with the PD is against it. I know Reddit is super quick to jump to leave. However, again, as someone diagnosed with a PD, I say run for the hills with the kids and don't look back. Those of us with PD, we can be extremely abusive and manipulative. I know in my first ever relationship before I got diagnosed in treatment, I was horrible to that poor man. What she is doing is being abusive towards your kids, and you need to think about them and what's best for them. I don't understand how you're a parent and allow this to continue to happen to your kids. A little PS, I'm not shitting on anyone with the PD. I would never do that because I myself know we are villainized so much in the world, and I would never do that to someone suffering something we can't help that we have. What I am saying is having a PD without help is the worst thing we can do. And dating marriage with someone with a PD without them in therapy and getting help will never work, and the person without the PD will be left emotionally, mentally, and physically exhausted from us. Third comment: I'm not a pan, don't have kids, but in a similar vein, my first long-term BF told me I was often prickly or started fights. He'd feel like he was walking on eggshells sometimes because he wouldn't know how my moods would shift. I realized I was acting out bad patterns from my childhood. Both my father and mother were terrible in different ways. I grew up walking on eggshells, expecting someone to lash out on me for no reason, or yelled at for some minor annoyance, or worse. I honestly wasn't doing this stuff on purpose. I mean, sometimes I was annoyed for good reason, but after reflection I also realized I was acting out in bad ways. It was a way of protecting myself getting angry first, rather than being the one getting yelled at, and also I never learned better ways to manage my feelings in fundamental relationships, those that are intimate or parent-child. Feel disappointed for some minor reason? Lash out. Feel annoyed? Lash out. It's really all I knew. Fundamental relationships really cause our brains to function in reptile mode. If we weren't modeled good relationships or coping strategies in fundamental relationships growing up, many of us modeled this later down the line. It's not 1-1. For example, I never called him names, denigrated him, "Are you stupid?" or reacted physically, but I would start shit or created tense situations a lot. I definitely grew a lot in that relationship, as it was the first one where I felt safe enough to be loved and to love back.